Who are the best DFS plays for Week 17 in the NFL for the main slate at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday? It's time to break it all down here as another edition of Locked On Fantasy Football begins, closing the week here with Lineup Friday.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and an early Happy New Year. This is our final show of the 2021 calendar year. It's not our final show of the 2021 season, as we now have a Week 18, but we do have to break down some final things here for Week 17, put a bow on our preview there, and we do that on Lineup Fridays by focusing on DFS. So we'll look at DraftKings and FanDuel, core players you want to target across positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and a couple defensive recommendations as well. Then we close the show in rapid fire and the week, as we always do, looking at our injury updates. We won't get the official designations until later today on Friday, but we will have a good idea of who's playing or who's not based on the practice reports early in the week and the COVID-19 list. We always have to keep you updated with that. So we'll do that here to close the show and the week. And before we do that, thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day in 2021. We're free and available on all platforms, and we'll continue to be that way in 2022. All right. Because we have no Thursday night football reactions, we can dive right into the DFS here. So let's start at quarterback. If you want to pay up for Josh Allen, this is a good week to do it. At home against the Falcons, 8,000 on DraftKings, 8,800 on FanDuel. Good core player to have. Look, I don't always say doing this, but in cash game, I feel really comfortable doing this. In tournament, I think a lot of people might be shied away from that high price tag. He is the highest priced quarterback on the board, but I think the return on investment could be great. I think this is a great matchup all around for what the Bills want to do offensively against the Falcons. They're at home. Allen should smash it with his running and passing. So I really like that. I think you're going to get a good 3K return on investment on both of those numbers there at both sites. Now, Matthew Stafford, also very intrigued by him. 3 interceptions last week. Looked a little bit sloppy in that great matchup against the Vikings. Another great matchup this week against the Ravens. Their secondary is depleted. There's no one back there that's a blitzing team. They're not getting much pressure on the quarterback. Stafford's been well protected. Should have his offensive line back at full strength in this one. So looking at him, 7,100 on DraftKings, 7,600 on FanDuel. He should light up the Ravens. We've seen the big games in the past 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow. So we're not chasing the box scores there. We know Stafford is a special player and can put up numbers, and he's on the level of those quarterbacks facing a very bad Ravens pass defense in its current state. Now, if you don't want to pay up to get Josh Allen or pay even a little high to get Matthew Stafford, you can target the under $6,000 range on DraftKings, $5,800 for Tua Tagovailoa and $6,700 on FanDuel for him. I do like that matchup against the Titans. I think they're going to have to put the ball up in the air. They're a high-volume passing team anyway. The Titans are very good against the run, so he's going to get it done with Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, uses receivers. Ryan Tannehill on the other side is okay, but I'd go Tua at the same price, a little bit cheaper to go in a potential sneaky shootout. I know it's a low-scoring game, but I think Tua's going to have to get things done on the passing game here in this one. So I do like the matchup. The Titans have been a little bit better against the pass of late, but they still give up digits here, and Tua can certainly take advantage of it. He just has to have special receivers, and he has those in Waddle and Parker. Mike Gesicki might be bottled up, but plenty of weapons there for Tua to exploit the Titans. Cornerbacks, you look at Justin Fields, 5,500 for him. Let's watch, make sure he plays with that ankle injury against the Giants, but love that pricing point as well. It's actually more than Tua at 7,000 on FanDuel. So Tua Fields, I think you can make that determination there. It's pretty close. Again, I like Fields as well because of his running baseline that he's going to give you at that price point. All right, then we look at Davis Mills in this game against the 49ers in San Francisco. He played at Stanford. He's an Atlanta area native. 5,500 is his price on DraftKings, 6,400 on FanDuel. I love Davis Mills. He's been coming on here, and I think the Texans are coming around to saying maybe this third-round pick needs to get a shot at being a franchise quarterback to replace Deshaun Watson full time. And if they did that, they would open things a lot there for the Texans to address other positions. But love the price points here. 5,564. The 49ers secondary is a mess here. He can throw on them downfield quite a bit. And garbage time, you expect high volume with the 49ers being double-digit favorites. Speaking of the 49ers, at 4,800 and 6,400, those are the prices for Trey Lance. I expect high ownership for Trey Lance. He's going to be starting here. Jimmy Garoppolo has not practiced. Lance has taken all first-team reps here. Garoppolo with the right thumb injury. Lance is going to be starting. We liked his matchup. He was a top pickup here in fantasy football. Major ceiling here with his running and passing here. The weapons are great. The matchup is fantastic. He's also at home, which helps with the rookie quarterback. So 4,800, 6,400. I think there's going to be very high management there. Tournaments, I think that's where I would go. A little bit volatile there. In cash games, I wouldn't necessarily go there when you can solidify yourself with an Allen or Stafford there and know that you're getting the points at quarterback. Let's turn to running backs. Alvin Kamara should have a rebound game at home against the Panthers. Panthers have wilted against the run. We saw them give up the big runs to Keyshawn Vaughn and Ronald Jones last week. 7,900 on DraftKings, 9,200 on FanDuel. I'm willing to pay up because a lot of people will be off Kamara after that Saints clunker against the Dolphins, but I think he rebounds big time at home against the Panthers. I also have Ezekiel Elliott. Washington really being depleted up front. They're confused here, giving up a lot here. So you look at Washington doing that last week. You look at Arizona in similar states here with Jordan Phillips and Zach Allen. They're two defensive ends. They're unlikely to play here, and this is a 3-4 front. So the Cardinals' run defense has been smashed. They were destroyed by the Colts last week and Jonathan Taylor. So Zeke playing off that good Washington game where he got it done as a runner and receiver. Love the price points here. 7,100 on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. Damian Harris, we look at him there as well in a good spot. 3 touchdowns, massive game against the Bills last week in defeat. Ramondre Stevenson is in line to return here, so that could cut into Harris's work a little bit, but good price points as well. 6,600, 7,400 are Harris's prices, DraftKings and FanDuel. Great matchup against the Jaguars, who their entire front seven pretty much is on the COVID-19 list. So not a lot there. The Jaguars are terrible against the run. Nothing to see there. The Harris play is a no-brainer and solid in cash game to me. I also like David Montgomery at home against the Giants playing off Fields. That's not a bad sneaky odd stack of rushing at quarterback and running back. 6,500 on DraftKings, 7,200 on FanDuel. That's really good because I think he's going to get massive volume in this game. The Bears will be playing for the lead here for much of the game. So we expect that, and Montgomery is going to get fed the ball early and often. Ronald Jones has good mojo again this week. 6,300 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. Really good looking game last week. I know Keyshawn Vaughn had that long touchdown, but he only had 7 carries in that game against the Panthers. Ronald Jones, the Jets are terrible against the run. So might temper expectations of Tom Brady because they could run all over. But Brady really, when he gets it done, he can get it done with multiple touchdowns and not big yardage. So I feel Jones will have a big yardage day. Should probably score in this one as well. So great price points there again as the unquestioned starter. I know Vaughn is getting touches, but he's still the guy they trust most. Another guy who's emerged as a starter because of injury is Rashad Penny. Another big game. So he had the 2 big games there, sandwiched between a clunker. So look at him, 6,100 on DraftKings, 6,900 on FanDuel. Great matchup against the Lions. Speaking of the Lions, in that same game, if you're looking for a little bit contrarian, you're on DK. If I'm going FanDuel, I'm going Rashad Penny because he's 6,900 between these two guys. It's pretty close between him and Jones there at that same price. But look at DeAndre Swift. He's priced up at 7,700 on FanDuel, but somebody forgot at DraftKings to realize that DeAndre Swift might be playing this week. 6,000 for DeAndre Swift, and he's playing 2 full practices with a shoulder injury. They might limit his workload a little bit, but he's their special player. They're probably going to be behind this game. Sets up for good game script, and Swift, we know, is a very adept receiver, and they need that without TJ Hawkinson and limitations at wide receiver there with Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond on the COVID-19 list. All right, we'll break down wide receivers, tight ends, and defenses you should be targeting, core players for DFS here on DraftKings and FanDuel for Week 17 in our next segment. But it is time to talk more about Built Bar. It is the new year. That means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Because Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good, you'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it gets just so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams sugar, 4 grams net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Here's an idea from the year. Go to all your secret treat stashes at home, in the pantry, in the office, in the car, wherever. Throw out all the sugary or calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bars, so when you're craving a snack or treat, you can reach for something that's healthy and tastes incredible. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can at least eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way, when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. And there's so many flavors to choose from: coconut, almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, and mint brownie, and many more. In fact, Built is always coming out with new limited time flavors, so check out Built.com often to see what's new. All you have to do to get in on Built Bar for the New Year's, go to Built.com, use the promo code and there at LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Okay, let's continue the show looking at wide receivers, tight ends, and defenses that we want to target on the lineups there for DraftKings and FanDuel. It is lineup Friday. Cooper Kupp, we told to be about to pay up for Josh Allen, a quarterback. I wouldn't mind paying up for Cooper Kupp. You got to work around it, but the matchup is great again. I mean, it just seems to great matchup after great matchup, and really record-setting season here because he's so far ahead the wide receiver one. 9,500 there on DraftKings, 10,200 on FanDuel. So you're going to pay up, but he's the surest thing here. Cash games only. I'm not going to go with him in a tournament here because that really limits your volatility and upside there when you have to expend that much money on one player. So keep that in mind. I do also like A.J. Brown. He's got a bit of a chest injury there and calf injury, but he's going to play through both of them again after he came back and destroyed the 49ers in Week 16. He gets a great matchup with the Dolphins at home. They can move him around. 7,200 on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. So you drop immediately by 2,300 and you get a good bargain there in Brown. So he's not a bad guy to target tournaments. Neither is Jalen Waddle. I think you'd have a massive game against the Titans secondary. Good stash and stack with Tua here. Waddle, they're at 6,700 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. Tyler Lockett, I also like him a lot to rebound here. It was a DK Metcalf type of game, but against the Lions, Lockett, remember, missed some practice. He was out of a game there. It was a crazy week for him. He's going to get back on track here. The Lions will struggle to cover him in the slot anywhere downfield. 6,400 DraftKings, 7,100 FanDuel. Another stack you can look at is Davis Mills and Brandon Cooks. 6,100 for Cooks, 6,500 on FanDuel. So good prices on both DK and FD for Brandon Cooks to tie with Davis Mills. Good tournament players for sure. As Cooks off the COVID-19 list should rebound big time against that 49ers secondary. Christian Kirk, I kind of like. I don't really love Kyler Murray this week, but I think the volume is going to pile up for Christian Kirk and underneath routes away from AJ Green facing Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs, but 5,800, 6,400, good prices for Christian Kirk. And again, a pretty good value there because he's a big play guy and a good tournament player. Here's a couple more tournament guys you can look at. Kendrick Bourne, 5,000 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel. Good prices for the Patriots wide receiver. I think the Patriots are going to open up the passing game a little bit here. The Jaguars defense is depleted. They need Mac Jones to have a big game. This could be a massive point total in favor of the Patriots in this one. Robbie Anderson, I also like him as a dart throw this week. 4,900 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel. He's getting a lot of targets. He's going to get Sam Darnold back. He eats up the defenders in December. He had a pretty good December last year. The Saints are going to put probably Marshawn Lattimore on DJ Moore. So that's going to open things up. That really helped Waddle produce last week on Monday night. So again, I like that price point a lot to throw in Robbie Anderson in tournament play here because I think the 3K on the return is a lot more likely there when you look at what he can do. All right, let's look at tight ends. George Kittle is where I start. He'll rebound from that Titans game. The Texans cannot cover the tight end. 7,100, 7,300. So good way to pay up without not paying a lot for an elite player. Rob Gronkowski also liked this week. Facing the Jets, a foe in the AFC East that he's used to playing, now playing with the Buccaneers. 6,200 there on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel. So either Kittle or Gronk, I would feel really good about paying up for this week. Alternatively, you can look in the middle to Noah Fant. I know the matchup is good. You worry about Albert O in that matchup and Drew Lock at 4,400 on DraftKings, 5,300 FanDuel. And this is your sneaky bargain of the week. If you just want to put in a cash game player and you want to expend a lot more and pay up for one of those other guys, Mo Alley Cox is going to help you do that. 2,800 on DraftKings, 4,600 on FanDuel. Jack Doyle is going to miss the game, and Mo Alley Cox emerged at the right time when Doyle's out. The matchup is fantastic against the Raiders this week, so keep that in mind. And Carson Wentz, we'll see if he plays. If not, Sam Ehlinger should target the tight end quite a bit as a security blanket playing off the run. So, again, either way, Mo Alley Cox, very likable there as a play for that price point. We also have two defenses you can target. The Cowboys are a little bit overpriced on FanDuel, but DraftKings, they're right there with the Bears. So 3,200 with the Bears, 3,200 for the Cowboys. Either one I love this week. At home against quarterbacks that can really make mistakes. Yeah, we said that. Mike Glennon is one of them, but Kyler Murray has also been pretty mistake prone of late. So people might be off the Cowboys looking at that Cardinals offense, but on paper, this is a good matchup for the Cowboys to do some damage in that game. All right, there you have it. There's a look at all the positions there, the core players and teams you should target there on DraftKings and FanDuel here for good production in Week 17. We'll close the show in rapid fire, looking at all the injury updates you know across those same positions. BetOnline, as you covered this holiday season, with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues to march through the college bowl season and the pro football playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action of the season. Head to the website or use your mobile device, sign today, and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use your promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, so don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, time to close the show and the year and the week, not necessarily in that order, with our look at our injury updates. Let's lock and load and look what's going on. Let's start at quarterback here. Lamar Jackson, ankle. He had a limited practice. Then he was rested. We're not sure if he's going to return. Tyler Huntley has been cleared from COVID-19, so he will be starting, not Josh Johnson, if Lamar can't go. So this could come down to a game time decision on Sunday. Track that. I still don't love the matchup here against the Rams defense, so keep that in mind if you have a viable alternative there. In one league, I have Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady, so that makes a decision rather easy for me there. Now, let's go to the Bears. Justin Fields, we're going to watch the ankle injury. There's a good chance he returns against the Giants. If not, Andy Dalton, who's working full, would start over Nick Foles, we would presume. Joe Burrow is good to go with the right finger injury against the Chiefs. Baker Mayfield, you're not going to play him in fantasy, but he helps the receivers there. Left shoulder, he's going to be playing in that Steelers game. Teddy Bridgewater missed last week, couldn't practice all week with a concussion. Same thing this week. So Drew Lock looks like he's going to start for the Broncos. That drags down the entire offense. 2 missed practices for Jared Goff. So good to see Tim Boyle again. Goff last week was on the COVID-19 list. This week it's a knee injury. So Boyle, we know he still facilitated Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's where you have to look really. Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. That Lions office. Aaron Rodgers, good to go with toe injury. Lock and load with him. Carson Wentz, we're going to see if he's cleared with COVID-19. It just depends on the timetable with the 5-day window. Obviously, Michael Pittman Jr. and T.Y. Hilton take a hit if he doesn't go. But again, I still like Mo Alley Cox and Jonathan Taylor regardless in this matchup against the Raiders. Speaking of the Raiders, Derek Carr is good to go with his ribs injury. Taysom Hill, right finger injury for the Saints, popped up back on the injury report, but he's good to go off the COVID-19 list against the Panthers. Jalen Hurts is good to go with his ankle injury against Washington. Ben Roethlisberger in his last home game as the Steelers quarterback, unless they get to the playoffs and somehow win the division, he's going to play. Pectoral and right shoulder injury, we know is going. Jimmy Garoppolo, all but ruled out here with his right thumb injury. Trey Lance getting a start for the 49ers against the Texans. Taylor Heineke in line to start again with his knee injury for Washington football team there against the Eagles. Let's turn to running backs. James Conner, heel, 2 missed practices. Could miss another game here. That would leave the backfield of Chase Edmonds. Remember, I didn't love this backfield if Conner and Edmonds split. If Edmonds has the role again against the Cowboys, fine with the back injury, limited. but he'll go, and then it's good news for him and his production. But bummer if you've had Connor all year and it hasn't happened. Devin Singletary, good to go with the ankle injury there for the Bills. There, Kareem Hunt has an ankle injury, probably going to miss the game again for the Browns against the Steelers. Ezekiel Elliott with a knee, Tony Pollard with a foot. They're good to go for the Cowboys against the Cardinals. DeAndre Swift, we're excited about him. Shoulder injury, back in the swing of things here. Should start, barring a setback before Sunday. Start over Jamal Williams and Craig Reynolds. Melvin Gordon the third and Javonte Williams good to go. Thumb and hip for Gordon, knee for Javonte Williams. They'll play. Hopefully they'll rebound against the Chargers in another good matchup this week. Aaron Jones, knee injury, playing through that again for the Packers against the Vikings. David Johnson still on the COVID-19 list. So a lot of Rex Burkhead again, feature role against the 49ers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire are going to miss the game for the Chiefs. So you're going to have Darrell Williams here lead the backfield with a lot of Derek Gore as well. We'll see how the game script plays. But Gore, the power back, Darrell Williams going to be using the passing situations and likely get more touches overall against Cincinnati. Josh Jacobs, full, good to go, ribs injury against the Colts. Philip Lindsay is an ankle injury. He'll play part of that backfield you want to avoid against the Titans. Dalvin Cook, good to go, returning from the COVID-19 list, will play against the Packers. Damian Harris, great matchup. Hamstring will keep playing here with Ramondre Stevenson sharing in the backfield against the Jaguars. Saquon Barkley, good to go with the ankle injury in that matchup against the Bears, who gave a lot to Rashad Penny last week. Miles Sanders is not going to play for the Eagles. Jordan Howard looks like he will with the stinger injury that he had. He's going to be good to go. Kenneth Gainwell also going to be available there. So Boston Scott, you might have to pump the brakes on him, but a lot of Scott and Howard you figure against Washington. Elijah Mitchell with a knee injury is going to be good to go here for the 49ers. It looks like it. So that's a good chance here with limited designation, but we're going to watch it. If he goes, I think you'll get a regular workload. If they're worried about it, that means that they want to give Jeff Wilson more an opportunity here who's hot. So we'll watch that between Mitchell and Wilson. Rashad Penny went full with a growing injury. He's good against the Lions. Alex Collins will be available, but not much to see there. Antonio Gibson, new injury. He's had the shin. He's had the toe. Now it's a hip. He should play through this one as well against the Eagles. Rondell Moore should continue to play with an ankle injury for the Cardinals against the Cowboys. Tajay Sharp on the COVID-19 list, going to miss the game for the Falcons against the Bills. Not a good matchup anyway. Marquise Brown, tough matchup against Jalen Ramsey. Missed practice there on Thursday with an illness. See how it goes. So we'll have to go. Devin Duvernay also looks like he might return here with an ankle injury. Emmanuel Sanders with the knee should keep playing there against the Falcons. Brandon Zylstra didn't practice against and he's not going to play with COVID-19 list against the Saints. Darnell Mooney, ankle injury, and play against the Deer this week. Good to go. Marquise Goodwin, illness, may miss the game here for the Bears. He should return, however, from his concussion this week against the Giants. Jarvis Landry is fine. He's good to go for the Steelers. Pretty good matchup, sneaky little play. Tim Patrick, sneaky little play all year from that Broncos passing game, but it may not play against the Chargers with the COVID-19. Speaking of COVID-19, Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond also on that list for the Lions. You have Chris Conley going to play through his knee injury for the Texans. Laviska Shenault still on the COVID-19 list for the Jaguars. He hasn't really done much, so not going to play against the Patriots in a bad matchup. Albert Wilson, Preston Williams, two more receivers there for the Dolphins, so not available. So a lot of Devontae Parker and Jalen Waddle targets in that game. Adam Thielen has been placed on injured reserve with his ankle injury, so he's not going to be playing against the Packers or anymore this fantasy football season. Jacoby Myers should play through his thigh injury. Nelson Aguilar probably going to miss another game with a concussion. N'Keal Harry with hip. So that's where we really like Kendrick Bourne here to get it done as the number one. Draquan Smith, new injury, 2 missed practices. He's going to miss the Panthers game pretty much here for the Saints. Kadarius Toney, 2 missed practices, new injury. And what else is new for the rookie from Florida? Shoulder injury. So Darius Slayton also not practicing. So a lot of targets probably going to Kenny Golladay. Do you trust the Giants passing game? Absolutely not. Jameson Crowder with the calf injury, going to miss another game. So a lot more Braxton Berrios against the Buccaneers, banged up secondary. DK Metcalf is going to play through the foot injury again for the Lions. The Freddie Swain ankle injury is going to play there as well as the third receiver with Tyler Lockett. I love Lockett this week. Mike Evans, hamstring, and the COVID-19 list, so set to miss another game. Brashad Perryman, however, is returning here off the COVID-19 list, so he'll replace Evans and give them a perimeter threat there. We've seen him do well replacing Evans late in the season before. Just 2 years ago, he filled in for Evans and Godwin went off there. So Perryman is a sneaky player for sure in a revenge game against the Jets. Antonio Brown, we'll see about him. He was fine. They rested him. I think he'll be good to go here against the Jets. Jalen Darden on the COVID-19 list, the rookie that they like, but he's probably not going to be available. A.J. Brown, calf, was rested there addition to the injury report, which is usually not good, but they're just playing it safe with J.J. Brown. He's so delicate. Their offense is probably because Julio Jones and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine are on the COVID-19 list here, so they need to have bodies there. Curtis Samuel, hamstring injury. He'll play, but maybe we'll just avoid and think about him for next season. Zach Ertz, hamstring injury, limited, but we'll keep playing against the Cowboys. Hayden Hurst is not going to play the Falcons. Some more targets for Kyle Pitts as Hurst is on the COVID-19 list. We talked about Jack Doyle, knee and ankle injury, suffered against the Cardinals, so that's why we like Mo Alley-Cox. James O'Shaughnessy, our favorite Jaguars receiver who didn't come through last week. He's not going to come through this week, it looks like, because he's got a hip injury, 2 missed practices, probably going to miss the Patriots game. Daryn Waller's on the COVID-19 list on top of the back and knee injury, so set to miss the Colts here. Foster Moreau should fill in again. Good matchup for Moreau. So Mo Alley-Cox and Moreau are not bad guys in the same good matchup here for the tight end. Tyler Conklin should play with a hamstring injury. You upgraded limited there on Thursday, but still not trusting him against the Packers. Kyle Rudolph, he's there, but Evan Ingram is there. Rudolph will play with an ankle injury against the Bears. Tyler Kroft on the COVID-19 list for the Jets, so they'll be down at tight end, so maybe more Berrios targets there. Pat Freiermuth should return from his concussion, practiced in full there for the first day ahead of Monday night. Should be available, but just make sure that he's good to go here. By Saturday, we'll find out about his status. Nick Folk is good again to go with the knee injury that he has, and Graham gets against the Bears. Again, a lot of depleted defenses. The Cardinals are one that have a lot. The Bucks have some bodies missing, and the Jaguars. So some teams to exploit there quite a bit in fantasy football here in Week 17. Speaking of fantasy football Week 17, that's the end of our look here at it on Locked On Fantasy Football. Thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We'll see you next year as we start and look at Roundup Monday. So we'll give you our reaction to everything that happened there on the Sunday games, full slate, except for the Monday night game between the Browns and Steelers. So we'll break all that down for you there on Locked On Fantasy Football. As we keep plowing through the new year, through the offseason, we'll be here for you throughout the playoffs as well on Locked On Fantasy Football. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available to you on all platforms. For Locked On Fantasy Football, for this week, for this year, Happy New Year. Good luck in all your fantasy football matchups. Have a good time with family. Ring it in. Bring it in. We love it. And catch you on the flip side for Roundup Monday.